Hey, Chris, I have some super good news for you.
What's up?
This episode is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to make your own professional website, online store, or portfolio. You can go to squarespace.com and use the offer code THUMBS for 10% off your first purchase.
Sounds great.
Thanks, Squarespace.
Whoa.
Nick,
Right.
go first.
Oh, we're blasting. Blast cast. Blasting in the blast.
Coming out of the headphones, Jake.
I don't know. Am I okay?
Yeah.
Danielle, what do you think about life?
I think that life is an interesting series of challenges. Good advice can be had by Mr. Belldong.
I don't think that. I think you fucked that up.
Belldong,
You're right all along.
Mr. Belldong.
Steve Gaynor.
Hi, I'm Steve. I was going to talk about games. Well, I mean, I don't know. Here's what I'm trying to say. Sean, games. Hot dogs. Cool uncle. Is that enough? I'm just saying the things I say.
Yeah, no, okay. So what you're saying is StarCraft, Grim Fandango,
I'm saying
GOG.com.
I'm saying GOG.com.
PCDL,
PCDL wink indeed. Classic.
It's fucking 200. It's time.
I'm Sean Vanneman.
No, it's March 4th, 2015.
This is Idle Thumbs 200. I'm Chris Ramo.
I'm Sean Vanneman.
I'm Nick Breckon.
I'm Danielle Riendo.
I'm Steve Gaynor.
And I'm Jake Rodkin. And we're joined by the robotic ghost of Chris Ramo.
So, Idle Thumbs, new Skype format.
Yeah.
Just like we always promised.
You may have heard that Idle Thumbs brought you off-the-cuff impressions, no Skype, throw away your reading glasses or whatever, but burn those bifocals or whatever it is. But Chris is trapped in Seattle due to his ear. So
Yes,
Yep.
an idle ear.
I couldn't fly back on my scheduled flight, so now I am Skyping in for, I guess, the first time in Idle Thumbs history.
yeah.
Yeah.
We
You
thought-
waited
yeah.
200 episodes and you just broke your
We made 199
prime
episodes.
directive.
We died one short.
It didn't start with episode 0, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The other thing that prevented me from doing was recording the vocals to the new theme song, which I guess you probably just heard in instrumental-only form.
I guarantee that's
So
what you
I
just
guess
heard.
that'll have to be updated in the future.
Yeah. No, we're just sort of, we're just taking it
Or
one step at a
sang by
time.
Danielle in her toad voice.
That's probably not what you heard.
Maybe.
Yeah, so
Happy GDC, guys.
Happy GDC.
Happy GDC, Chris.
welcome.
We should get a cake.
I assume GDC is cool.
And of course, there have been press appointments the whole time, so
Yeah.
I'm already exhausted.
Also,
That's a good
two of us spoke today. Nick Breckon was on a panel. Famous Breckon.
It's true. I witnessed this panel.
The rise of famous Breckon.
Yes.
This is quite
Episode
exciting.
200.
What did you guys talk about on the Telltale panel?
I don't know. I didn't really.
Did you were you in a
Sounds like a great talk.
were you in a fugue state?
Yeah. Let's. Yeah. Sure.
Well, I mean, think of you must have been talking
So-
about your upcoming properties,
of course, we just made all kinds of announcements.
crafting minds.
Sure. No, we didn't say anything about any of that. Do you actually want me to talk about this?
Why not?
It's a
Whatever.
GDC
Chris isn't
cast.
here.
Okay.
I believe in you, Nick. Tell us all about it.
This is prime
It was
GDC
a fine
content.
panel. I don't know. God, I feel like old Brecken.
What are you guys talking about
It's
right
fine,
now?
I guess. I don't know. We talked about just narrative stuff and like Telltale games. It's fucking It was fine. I don't know.
We have regressed like 195.
We have. I don't know what to say about this panel.
No, it's fine.
It was just general questions. I mean,
You know what?
Honestly, it was a narrative summit, and it was just a lot of people who didn't understand anything about how we make games or like how to get into writing for games or anything along those lines. So it was actually kind of cool. Like the back half was just a lot of questions, which I don't know. I don't really talk to people about writing games very often, so it was nice to talk to.
I don't really talk to people.
I don't leave my house very often, so it was fine. Like, yeah, I don't know. Just I sympathize with people trying to break into anything ever. So it was nice to talk to people and give them
Houses.
what I think is decent. Yeah.
Did you suggest that they take your path, which was write for Shack News, then become community manager of Bethesda, then start writing
It's the one
Telltale
true
games
path.
somehow?
It's the one true path, Steve. It's the only way. So yeah, just defer all applications to Shack News.
So basically, that door to the industry is closing at a slow but very perceptible rate, probably. I kind of want to talk about news that is like news.
Deliver us. The
It's happening
news.
now.
You mean
Source
like?
2.
I mean news that is not the talks that like Steve
Oh, I
and
thought
I gave
like the
today.
Supreme Court is hearing the healthcare
Yes,
law this week.
that is in real life news and in video
mean-
game news.
You
I mean,
you
we
wanna
should
talk about Shack
I mean, we
News.
should talk about. we should talk about Shack News. Talk about
Blues
This
News.
is a
Blues
decently
News.
reflective experience for me because now I finally know what all the people who complain about idle thumbs I feel like I'm sitting on the outside of a room, like
You
kind
are?
of hearing you guys talk
You
and
are?
looking in and want to be inside, but I can't be inside, so I'm just hearing you interrupt each other as you attempt to talk about literally anything.
You know,
It's really
I had
weird.
a weird,
It's super weird.
similar experience. Not to that exactly, but I can't listen anymore. And this used to be my actual favorite podcast that I would listen to as a listener. And I can't anymore because now I think of what I would be saying or trying to say or thinking about saying, and it's too weird.
That,
So
that
is it
happens
just-
to
is
me
it-
still, even though it's been years.
Oh, really?
I listen to the podcast and I'm like,
doesn't go
I would be
away.
responding with
Okay,
this
so
right
Steve,
now.
I assume
No,
that
you're fucked forever.
when you're listening to Idle Thumbs, you just sort of lean back and deliberately don't say anything, but think about things. And Danielle, I imagine you sitting alone in your house is going, okay, like really
That's what I
quietly.
do. That is what I do. You can ask Patricia. That is what I do in life.
Good.
What's
Yep.
your news? I want to hear it.
It's probably Valve. You said
Yeah.
Valve
Valve
stuff.
had a bunch of things.
I will
going on.
always talk
Valve
about
has
Valve.
this many things, 3 things
Yes.
that they've announced.
There's that Vive, that
Yes.
Vive,
Vive,
yes.
El Vive.
Source 2
Source 2.
and Lighthouse.
Oh, Source 2, right?
Wait, whoa, also
What?
that-
What the
that's,
fuck is
also
Lighthouse?
that's streaming
Lighthouse
box.
is their tracking technology, their room scale
4
tracking
things.
technology.
4 things. And the streaming box.
Yes, in the streaming box.
4 things. Which is basically like whatever. It looks like a Roku or like a PS
Apple
TV or whatever.
yeah.
That's a lot of Valve news.
Yeah.
That
When
Valve-
they finally announced a streaming box, we've been talking about that forever.
Yeah, the Valve
know.
streaming box is
Hypothetically.
like my dream realized, which is you already have a computer that runs Steam somewhere else in your house. You don't want to pay for a Steam machine, which they've now started talking about again.
Yeah.
I guess.
Whatever.
But what you really want is a thing that they've priced at $50, which is just like, yeah, it's a little slim thing, looks like a Roku or an Apple TV or something, and all that it does is you plug it into the internet, you plug it into the Wi-Fi, and then you can plug a USB controller into it, and it just streams Steam to your TV.
Does
That
that
sounds
the
pretty
stream
cool.
box?
I don't know, it has some other name that's not
Oh.
that.
Well, then they have failed because Chris is correct. It should be called the Stream Box.
Why not call it the Steam Stream? The Steam Streamer.
Steaming stream.
Steaming Streamer? I was wrong about who was wrong.
The Stanley Streamer.
The Cleveland Streamer, because Chet is from Cleveland.
Oh,
Valve announces new
Streamer,
VR
that
initiatives, comma, the Cleveland Streamer. Source 2 at GDC 2015.
And Chet's just like, got his fingers tucked into his loops on his belt, like, ta-da!
it should be source
So
number
chuffed.
2 in that case. Don't you think?
Source number 2? Fuck off, Danielle!
This is why it's not your favorite podcast anymore, because you ruined it.
Me. It's all because of me.
So,
Whenever I start talking, Skype mutes all of you guys for the duration of me talking, so I can only hear myself.
So, Chris,
when I'm
you're now
talking.
getting
So
our
every single
experience
time I'm talking, I never know
you can't
if
hear me.
I'm actually
Exactly.
talking by myself or if I'm just shouting into the void and you guys are all talking over me and I just have no idea.
See, this is why there was that thing that was like, no Skype, throw out your reading glasses.
No,
Hey, this ain't your mama's podcast.
I think this is actually just finally you have an externalization of the experience that you have when on the podcast. and it's just hard for you to know.
Chris could just filibuster the whole podcast.
Yeah. Chris could filibuster the whole podcast. We'll just put Chris in the right channel for everyone who likes Idle Thumbs to be in stereo.
Just a voice. A void.
What's that voice sound like?
Okay.
Good.
Toad is so agreeable.
Yeah.
Toad never is like,
he's
I don't
fine
think
with
so.
it.
Fuck it. Maybe not. I'll take it under consideration.
Well, if Toad gets disagreeable, it'll just sound like Marge Simpson. It'll be like, homie. Let's all say homie. Danielle, have you had a chance to actually look at any of this Steam stuff? I applied through the website to try and see it, and they were like, unfortunately, you will not. So
that is unfortunate.
Are you serious?
it didn't literally say that, but it was like, there are a lot of people who want to see this, and you're not going to be one of the people. So
Was that trying to get an appointment while you were at GDC?
yeah, because they had a site that was like, if you're going to GDC, put your name on the thing. I don't rate.
We had somebody there, but it was not me. So I just saw press release stuff and, details. I tried to dig into what this lighthouse stuff actually does. Room tracking.
Well, put on the thing and it knows where you are within a 15 by 15 foot.
Right, but it talks to other devices too, apparently.
Like, which devices?
Like a TV or another device with
Your microwave?
embedded things. Yes, your microwave and also the UFO on top of your house and all of these other
So
things.
it uses other things to try and triangulate you as part of it? Is
I
that the deal?
believe so.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I was trying to sort of dig into this, and
somebody
then I
was
ran
saying-
to Nick's talk. Actually.
Somebody was saying that it's driven by magnets.
Oh,
So if
so you need tinfoil.
No, seriously, this is what somebody was saying.
Okay.
And so if there were other devices that were giving off an electromagnetic field, I guess it could use those for triangulation. Maybe.
That kind of makes sense.
Weird.
So it can just say, go open this box, and you'll find a treasure in, whatever adventure game that you're playing. And it is just opening your fridge, and you're like, oh, it's cold in there. It's telling you these certain things.
Yeah.
Kind of
Pull out
cool.
this bowl of grapes.
It turns out that shitty stereo system.
No,
that
those
you
are
paid for.
eyeballs.
Those are
Sean.
eyeballs.
I was gonna say.
The speaker in the ear of your whatever. What is that stupid headset called?
They're eyeballs. It tells you.
Yeah.
The worst fucking VR ever.
What?
Hopefully the weird electromagnetic whatever stuff it uses is close enough to cell phone technology that when someone inevitably starts to hack the VR landscape that is your home, you still get the little
Oh, I thought you were going a completely different way. That they were just going to make the Dark Knight Batman world fucking mapping bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Oh man. Yeah. the electromagnetic radiation inside of your house for everyone who has VR, it's now also just casting that weird sonar Batman spy view back to Gabe Newell's desk, which looks like the administrator's desk from Team Fortress 2 now. It does.
I think,
There was a
I think it
lot
just has
there.
wheels and it just goes from room to room like everybody else.
It adjusts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy that there are now just 3.5, if you consider that cell phone that goes in front of your eyes VR thing, that are just going to be on the market by the end of next year.
You mean Google Cardboard?
No.
You mean the standalone Oculus Samsung thing?
Yeah. But the Oculus Rift, whatever it's end up named, the Morpheus, and then the Vive.
Oh, is that really the name?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the Valve Vive?
Yeah.
I'm done with this.
Valve Vive by HTC.
I'm
Valve
fucking out of
Vive
here.
with watch the ad for 5 Alive or watch 3 smaller ads.
Say
It's
5
insane to
Alive
me
into
that
your
these are all
Vive
going to
to
market.
fast forward commercial.
Yep. Hamburger.
I can't think of another piece of technology like that where the hype.
There's a huge race.
But the hype is all built outside of capitalism.
Right.
Where
Well, this is
none of these have been sold.
We are sure that customers might find something interesting about this technology someday, so our install base of 0 will be multiplied
So
exponentially.
$3 billion companies are going to war right now. It's insane. I can't think of anything quite like it.
Are they all sitting on killer apps for this? I feel like because Zuckerberg bought Oculus is I can see this is going to be the future of social interaction, and Sony's this is the future of the PlayStation, and Valve is this is the future but
Rooms.
Nice.
It is really
no one is
cool.
also selling the fan that you can strap yourself to the skydiving tech demo, like which is like, do you?
Yeah.
Do you
No,
know?
I totally agree. It's really fucking weird. You have no audience if you make a VR game, except for other people who have bought dev hardware.
Right, that's like, people keep saying like, "Oh, are you guys going to do something in VR?" And it's like, yes. I mean, it's cool, it's interesting, but like, you are literally building technology for an install base of 0.
Okay, this is actually a thing that is like increasingly common now, especially if you're working at a small to mid-sized developer, where it is possible to basically make game after game after game where your entire audience is essentially the acquisitions people for companies making proprietary hardware. So like people making weird controllers, people making weird 3D things, people making weird VR stuff, like crazy input devices. Those companies will just pay you to make games for their things. I don't know if these companies are doing that too, but like there's enough companies just all making weird hardware shit that's an entire like cottage industry now for game developers.
Yeah, it's so strange because it feels like they must all be doing that, hoping that someone will prove that there's a point to all of the like crazy costs they've already sunk into this hardware. But it's weird when it's now all companies competing for the same non-existent space. It's like if the Wii hadn't taken off,
Exactly.
but then
That's the
everyone
thing.
still was like, motion controllers, we gotta, it's like, but like no one, like Nintendo had not even sold
They never
the
launched the Wii. It was still in development.
So the other analogy I was going to make is when Mario 64 was first demoed, when the N64 was demoed, everyone was like, fuck, we need analog sticks everywhere. We need 3D cameras that work like this everywhere. But that was because Nintendo showed their killer app before they gave anyone the hardware. Like, people cloned Mario 64.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because Mario 64 existed. It wasn't like they were just like, look at this Nintendo 64 controller.
Yeah.
Because people would have just been like, no, what the fuck is
I
that?
remember even in that shitty VHS tape that went out to Nintendo Power customers that we have talked about many times, it was always, here's Mario 64, blow your minds, but how do you play a game like this? Check out this controller. I remember it perfectly as if it were yesterday.
It's killer app first, then the object, instead of like, you can strap a thing on your face.
So they're
for some
totally
reason.
going to make the
yeah.
Tron 2.0 video game killer app, which is what that game was called, for Morpheus, and re-release it. Tron 2.0 killer app. From
this is
Bethesda
just-
video games.
What this is making me want to do is go on eBay and buy a Philips Ambi X and hook it up to my copy of Far Cry 2. Because they did that.
Oh, man.
Excellent.
Awesome. So, when Valve...
I got a demo of that one time, like years and years.
Oh, no
and years
shit?
ago, like,
What?
at E3 or GDC or something. Yeah, it was this crazy thing, for those who don't know, where it like bathes your room in light that like continually updates based on the dominant color on the screen at any given time, and it like blows wind at you.
Yes.
The developers like hooked into the APIs.
I love it so much.
So,
It's hilarious.
for Far Cry 2, that actually seems like that would be a really bad demo, because as nice as Far Cry looks...
It's super good. You're getting into the sunset and it gets all orange, and then you start driving a Jeep and a fan's blowing in your face. Actually true.
God, okay,
And then you get malaria.
So here's the question. It just coughs on you.
Yeah, it's just like,
Okay,
Fly
so
buzzes by.
you know how like there are films that were shot and the director intended it to be seen truly in like a cinerama screen, like a
Right.
curved screen, and now you'll watch it. It's like, okay, we can watch you on a wide screen. So was Clint Hawking's original vision for Far Cry 2 actually the game that blows wind on you and sneezes and the light on your wall change? Like, does he consider every other release of it a compromised version of his artistic intent, do you think? I really hope he does.
I assume so.
We can only assume.
you can only say yes.
Man, Jake, there is a legit Cinerama theater here in Seattle with the like crazy curved screen. I went and saw a movie there a few weeks ago.
Most Cinerama theaters that exist now, they cut them in half and just show them, like split the theater into two small theaters that just are kind of curved. And it's always sad to go to a movie in one of those and be like, "Oh man, I know."
Have you ever been to the Cinerama Dome in Los Angeles?
No.
The ArcLight?
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
That's really good.
Yeah, it's really cool.
We'll play Far Cry 2 in there.
That would be great.
It's a
One of those
delightful
curved
idea.
TVs.
Those would be some big fans.
The air conditioning just turns on occasionally. Like,
We're cold now.
Yeah. And then Clint Hawking says, "As I intended." Whenever you get malaria, the AC turns on.
So cold.
That's perfect.
So you start shivering.
I was
Yeah.
okay.
And the
So
heat comes on really hard.
I know when Valve talked about the Steam boxes, that was like last year's CES, 2 years ago.
It's like at least 2 years.
Yeah.
And everyone
Oh,
was
wow.
saying like, "Oh, Half-Life 3 is going to be the killer app for a Steam box." Blah 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 blah.
People are saying that this week.
Well, okay, it makes sense now because it doesn't make sense.
Does it make sense,
Okay, it does not make
Jake?
sense because Half-Life does not have the pull that it used to have. I don't think. Like Half-Life 2 was the killer app for Steam.
Yeah,
Like you buy
Counter-Strike kind of was.
Counter-Strike.
that's actually true. Yeah.
Counter-Strike was the thing that Steam was built for, which is true. But Steam as a marketplace, Half-Life 2 was totally the killer app for what
Yeah,
Steam
that's true,
became. Because it was like, you want to buy Half-Life 2? You'll buy it on Steam. You want to buy it in the store? Odds are it's just a Steam code in there.
Well,
like,
but additionally, as I remember it, when you bought Half-Life, when you pre-ordered Half-Life 2
if you
on
got
Steam,
the box, it was just an empty box.
well, no, but when you an incentive to actually buy it on Steam instead of just at retail was if you buy Half-Life 2, you get a free copy of CS Source now, and you can be playing it on Steam until Half-Life 2
And then
comes out.
it
So you're
would
like, why would I buy it in a store?
It
I'll
would come
buy it
with
online.
the Half-Life 1 source as well.
Right, yeah.
But so
Is Half-Life 3 going to be the killer app for the Vive?
I don't think that it is, but here's the thing about that. The thing that I was thinking about is I was talking to Ollie about this morning because yesterday we were talking about
La
VR
vida
stuff,
Half-Life.
and what Ollie said was we were just talking about Half-Life.
Yeah.
And Ollie said, "Man, I would actually kill for like a Star Tours ride of the Black Mesa tram route. Holy shit! The opening to Half-Life games are just actually a showcase for VR. They're a showcase for a game where you only have 15 square feet of space to move around." If they did a Source 2 version of the Black Mesa tram ride, but you were Gordon Freeman and you could only walk around inside of that tram, and then it parked and you got out and they had some fucking solution for how that was fun. Like, the part before that, though, is immediately, like...
I don't think
Valve's tech demo.
controller... I mean, the problem is the walking. I don't think that's... I don't know what that is like.
They're apparently into that, right?
Yeah, but like the controller plus VR headset, I don't think it's an unsolved problem. I think
What if the demo for the Vive was Half-Life 1 Source 2, and it was still like Half-Life 1 Source, was just the 1998 assets, but with like slightly better water again? And this time you were a helmet.
they wouldn't even get the fan updated.
No.
Oh God! It's like, what is it called? The
just
fan
your
update
garden.
one?
Black Mesa?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is still just like...
Just
like,
the uncompressed
just
audio,
hands.
all that shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm 100 qualies.
Jake, speaking of Half-Life
catch a
as
bear.
killer app for the Vive, did you guys see the thing where like an HTC marketing lady misspoke or something? I think she intended to say like, "Oh, we're working with Valve on this thing," but she said we're working with Half-Life on we're collaborating with Half-Life.
Oh my god.
And then Valve had a thing where they were like, we were like, oh my god, Valve's doing a presentation on 3/3
at 3 p.m.
3 p.m. But it was just like a GDC talk, and it was totally unrelated. And that they had to come out and be like, we're not making any Half-Life games for this thing. This is just the talk.
Man, we're excited to be working with Half-Life. Is so good. That's very like I was talking to Mac the other day about my computer.
Like, I think the audience doesn't hear, "Oh, she made a goof." It's more like Half-Life. They're working on Half-Life for this thing. Everybody just goes white as a sheet.
Yeah.
I
The
don't know.
hope springs eternal. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe the hope is actually dead.
Maybe they won't ship any of this stuff.
Yeah.
That would be in keeping.
Yeah. True that.
We were saying this sitting in a room with a 3D printed Steam controller and with a Steam box that blue screened on boot, and we never got an update for. So, who's to say?
There's a 3D printed Steam controller?
Yeah, it's somewhere in there, in that drawer.
Did they just send you a blueprint for your 3D
No,
printer?
Chris went to Dev Days and they gave him that stuff.
Oh.
Like 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. That came out of a 3D printer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, we live in the future.
Well, Valve did all their prototyping.
We live in the
on
future
their
of that time,
internal
for
3D
I didn't
printers.
realize that.
Yeah, we do live in the future of that time where we don't have a Steam box or a
2
Steam
years ago.
controller that is not made out of a rapid prototyping machine.
Do you guys want to take a break?
I guess.
Okay.
Sure.
Time to clap.
There we go.
This episode is brought to you by our friends at Hover. We've talked about them a lot. They're a fantastic domain name registrar. If you're looking to register any of the old favorites, .com, .biz, .org, you should definitely go there.
Classic.biz.
.net. Hover's a fantastic place to go for that. And they also have all the new wacky ones, which I took advantage of very recently by purchasing mitten.cat.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
So you can go to mitten.cat right now and see a photo of a really cute cat.
And possibly by the time this airs, you can go to classic.biz.
That's probably taken.
Yeah.
The cat took it. Yeah.
You should totally try Hover, and you can get 10% off your first purchase at Hover by using the promo code CRUST. Possibly.
Adult Thumbs episode 200. It's time for some new jokes. Crust, classic.
Crust joke.
Which might be a mistake. Or puffins.
What
Other
podcast
word.
do you think the Crust promo code could be applying to?
The Giorno internal podcast.
Thanks, Hover and the DiGiorno Employee Training Podcast for this week's promo code.
Yeah.
Hover.com/crust, promo code crust.
Yeah.
Video
This episode is also brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to build your own personal website, portfolio, or online store. I used it at Christmas, actually, to make my dad a website for his accounting firm.
Oh, we talked about this when you weren't on the podcast.
Oh, you did? Yeah. So I just sat down and used it from Jump Street. And unlike Chris and Jake, I've never really done web development. But Squarespace made it really easy to make something that looked awesome and professional for my dad. I was like, I'm not going to say the URL. It's not really worth promoting on the podcast. But Squarespace is fantastic. And you can go to squarespace.com and get 10% off your first purchase with the offer code THUMBS at checkout. I actually really do recommend it now as a user of it and not just somebody who liked the look of it from afar. But it'll look great on mobile, it'll look great on your computer, and you or whoever you give it to will be very happy.
I do use Squarespace, and it is wonderful.
Thanks, Squarespace.
Unlike Sean, I will share the URL to Sean's dad's website, which is vanamancpa.com.
Thanks, Chris. If you live in the greater Wyoming, Montana, Idaho basin and need any sort of personal tax things done, go to that URL. My dad has clients in many states.
I'm sure there's a non-zero number of people who listen to this podcast who can use some kind of tax advice who live in that region.
It's tax season right now.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah,
Somebody
he's actually a really good. He's actually a super good.
Tell Jim that
Adult
Idle Thumbs sent you.
That's right.
He does Idle Thumbs' taxes.
And he'll give you 10%. No, he won't.
This is a stealth third ad. The guy who does our taxes, whose site we built on Squarespace.
Which is my dad. He'll get all this email and then not know what to do, and then just
He'll be like, Sean, what is horse bag?
I don't know what to do. Tell your friends to
Mr.
stop
Benjamin.
emailing me. You think this is some sort of joke?
This is my livelihood.
Turns into DMX. Thanks, Squarespace.
Video game.
So, Chris, what did you think about that Forbes article about Notch?
I don't know. I mean, I don't have strong feelings about it necessarily. I thought so. This was an article basically that traced Notch's kind of like, I don't know, psychological arc, I guess, towards selling Mojang, and then since then. So it kind of describes why he started becoming disillusioned with his like position in the video game industry, and then what he's been up to since he sold the company, which is basically just like hanging out. I don't know. What did you think of it?
I mean, I don't know.
Nobody knows.
The article is written from a perspective because, like, Notch isn't just hanging out. Like, Notch is engaging in a type of, like, commercial largesse.
Yeah.
That
Notch's version of hanging out involves outbidding Beyonce for a house.
And then, by virtue of having outbid Beyonce for a house, polishing a chrome machine gun / motorcycle pair that was inside that house that he bought.
It was a package deal. Yeah.
Shuffling around his life-size M&M statues.
Oh my god.
So what was the thrust of the article?
I mean, I think the article was actually really dark. The take on the article was sort of...
Wait, was it dark because of like the author's perspective, or just because of Notch's
That's
life?
the truck. I mean, I think that the journalist's perspective is sort of like doubled down on it. You know, I mean, it was very like it was very selective in sort of the vignettes of a day-to-day in the life of Marcus Persson that it chose to show. Because, like, I mean, the best metaphor, or I guess the best example of that, like looking at the article as a whole, is the article ends with his like buddy opening a piece of mail, and in it is a letter from a 4th grader that says, "Hi, will you please keep making new Minecraft?
It says it has some feature request."
Yeah, I would like whatever, it's a 10-year-old fourth grader.
Yeah.
I would like this feature would be awesome. I can't wait for more Minecraft. And stapled to the letter was like, here's $1.
Oh,
no.
And Notch just goes, like, takes the $1 and looks at the reporter and goes, hey, look, we got a bribe today.
Oh my God.
And then looks at the $1 and the article ends with, so should we like send this back? And that's the last words of the article.
Oh my God.
The way that I read that anecdote, though,
I'm
just
curious
to be
how you read that, because
maybe
I read it
slightly
as the
more
most
fair,
cynical
was that
shit.
His initial bribe response was just the kind of like knee jerk, like, here's my funny comment. And then, at least the way the author wrote it, it sounds as though like his demeanor actually changes, and he's like, wait a second, should we send this back? Like, I read that as though he makes the joke and then he considers like, wait a second, like, I'm not actually the person they should be sending this to. I read that as an actual human moment of him, like,
That's interesting.
considering the perspective of the person who sent it.
I was IMing with Cable Sasser of Panic, going beat by beat through this article, and we both took it like a more cynical way, which is, I guess, more telling about us as people.
Not just the lens through which you see yourself.
It's true. That's correct, Jake. He's like that mirror of truth from isn't there some like in Fantasia or some shit like that?
Like in Harry Potter where you see your parents hang out with you? Like
No, that's the pool of desire or whatever. Mirror of desire.
I don't know if that's what any of
Christ.
these things are.
The mirror that shows your true
Not
self.
just really just the mirror of desire or Ezrid
Or some
whatever.
sort of pool of desire.
It is something bullshit like that in Harry Potter.
I don't think that it is.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Like,
I don't think that Notch is Ezrid, the mirror of desire.
That's his secret
I like
life.
that this is new like Notch lore that has been created.
Oh, it's beautiful.
it's funny because I read that article, Chris, and there's probably not a lot of like meat on these bones to continue to talk about Notch. Although
Me undies bones.
not on this episode,
Well, then.
The other thing that I think was important to point out about the journalist's perspective on Notch as a person was that there's a level of sort of patronizing in the way that they describe his life, like the jocular sort of like dick jokes they make in his office where they don't do any work but just play video games. And then how it's a typical boys club affair with a bar and a new DJ booth, parenthesis, Notch is learning to spin. And I'm like,
Right.
it's just like you know what I mean?
That's the he said as he munched on a truffle fry of that kind of
That's exactly right.
Well,
article.
the journalist's perspective was kind of, that hand was tipped pretty early on in the article because the journalist makes some aside or some remark when it says, like, he says something like, after Notch now clears this $1.5 billion or whatever, and how has he been conducting himself? Not very impressively. Like that the author says something like that
an impressive
right at the
home
beginning,
purchase.
where it's just like, this person is not impressed.
Which, on some level, like, on the other hand, created probably one of the very most important cultural touchstones of the generation that's younger than us, like, in their entire lives. Fuck off, writer. Like, you don't understand that this person made an impact on, like, everyone under the age of 20 that is indelible.
Right.
You're just looking at him as, he made some games and now he's got a DJ booth. Like, fuck
Right.
off.
I mean, I think it would be like, it's hard. It's very challenging because, like, what I did actually after I read this article and just sort of thought about all the like everything, like, I went and watched the video of the fly through of his house again and shit like this, just to like really get a whole picture of like the past year of Notch. And then I went back to September of last year and read the I'm done with Mojang email, because I remember reading that when he first posted it to his website and seeing in my brain, like closing my eyes and seeing Notch in like, where's Notch from, by the way? I can never remember. Which Nordic
Sweden.
country? Sweden. Okay. Yeah. And like closing my eyes and seeing Notch in a really expensive multi-million-dollar home in like the woods in Sweden, working on a very nice computer, just kind of like tinkering and solving programmer problems and being on the internet. And I was like, oh, if that's the life that guy wants, cool. And I had envisioned it so clearly while reading that post on his website that I thought it was portrayed in the words of his goodbye letter. So then when Notch bought a $75 million home off Beverly Glen, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
but
what?
the thing is,
and
like,
then I went
it's not-
back and read the letter today and I'm like, oh, like he never said what he was going to do. Like he said he just wanted to go, like he was done and just wanted to go have fun. This is his version of fun. Oh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he is the guy that was like throwing a free Skrillex party for GDC for the last however many years.
Yeah.
And so forth. But like,
Well,
on
you
the
never
other
know
hand,
with that stuff, right? With that stuff, it's like, oh, he wants to just give back to everyone. And then I kind of went like, oh no, he just wants to be cool and famous.
But it's not like he's living in that house in Beverly Hills. I mean, he's a Swedish citizen. He can't like have permanent residency in that home. I think he just bought that to have parties in and hang out in when he was in the States.
Yeah,
like, I don't know what the rest of his life is going to be like. I don't think it's sitting next to that James Dean replica
I think he does
motorcycle.
live in Los Angeles, by the way. I think he does live
No,
in
he doesn't. The article talks about this. He has an office he goes to every day in Sweden.
Oh, God, then I totally fucking got that backwards. I got that, like, ass backwards reading the article for some reason. Yeah. Okay, never mind. Yeah.
You know what's a funny thing to me about this article? And this is not specific to Notch or Minecraft necessarily, but it is specific to, I guess, the fact that Notch is, like, sort of a portly dork. So,
Sure.
like,
No, that's valid. Yeah.
in this article, there's an embedded video that has like various bits of audio that are intercut with B-roll from the magazine photo shoot, like the professional photo shoot of Notch, and they do it like they go all out the way they would with, you know, like any other person who's featured in an article like this. And it was so strange to see someone like Notch who looks, I mean, we work in the video game industry, so we know, you know, that a lot of people in the video game industry don't like prize sort of like really tailored clothing on a daily basis and like, you know, incredibly like laborious makeup and things, the way that obviously people in like Hollywood do, or at least certain fields in Hollywood. But usually those are the people who get the whole like professional photo shoot treatment, and it's so weird seeing that and being like, oh yeah, you can get this either by being like a world leader or a movie star or an incredibly beautiful person, or you can just do it by having a shitload of money via anything, and like those will all equally grant you that.
You'll get the weird photo shoot montage video. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I almost wonder if there's an element of like weird, shitty, narcissistic American cultural tourism to this too. Like, I didn't read this article, but, but the idea of like, oh, look at this nerd who thinks he's people now, you know, like the Hollywood kind of
like that. It's a bizarre article. I don't know. Like, it's a level of success. Like a level of like unplanned success that I don't think anyone can ever imagine, and it's very
I think one of the reasons that we're struggling to come up with really specific opinions and reactions to this is because, sorry, the article itself doesn't really make a point about anything. It's like, and part of that's because okay, this guy did this like really amazing thing, but then the article picks up after that. And then the author of the article sets out to figure out, like, what is this guy doing with this, like, basically infinite wealth that he now has? And it's like, he's just kind of spending the money on some fun things and still just kind of being a dorky dork. And that's it. Like, there's no, like...
And honestly, I feel like that kind of stuff happened,
anything.
like, in, I don't know, what, the late 90s-ish, when they would be like... check out Bill Gates' house. You can change the wallpaper because it's LEDs. What a fucking, you know, ridiculous thing to spend your money on. And it's like, okay, well, now he like runs multiple foundations that are trying to, you know, cure diseases everywhere and improve education around the world. And
all of which have LED wallpaper in their main offices.
Man,
baller. But I feel like there is that point.
If Notch teams up with Bill Gates to cure malaria,
holy shit,
that's going to be a full idle thumbs circle complete.
That's true.
Well, one of the things actually about the article that is noteworthy in that respect is that Notch is actually like addresses the idea of charity as one. He's like, so I want to just kind of have fun and throw parties and like maybe do some charity. I haven't really thought much about the charity part yet. I have to figure out what I'm going to do with the charity. But that kind of seems like it's just trying to score points anyway. So he sort of brings this up and then immediately is kind of already not super excited about the idea.
Oh. Well, okay.
It's
So
weird.
maybe there is no redemption.
Yeah.
Notch often responds to internet critiques by replying with a moving image of Woody Harrelson in the movie Zombieland wiping away tears with money. To which he replies, "I know it's kind of douchey." That's from the article. I read it like 10 times, that one sentence.
The first time I read that, I read moving as like touching or poignant or profound. Like, that doesn't sound that impressive.
Oh my
I read it
goodness.
that way too.
Oh.
Anybody played any video games?
Yes.
Oh, good.
And that does it for episode 200.
Yeah, I'll be back next
One
week.
polite yes. Best game you played recently.
Okay. I got it down to like 3. Is that cool?
Well, what's the best one of the 3?
Yeah.
Oh, the best one of the 3 is probably 80 Days.
Okay,
I
there
finally
you go.
played it.
Oh, shit!
And I'm bringing it up because I actually went to the writer, Meg
Meg Chan?
Janth, yes.
Yeah.
I went to her talk, and I played the game for like 2 hours before I went to her talk because I was feverishly like, oh, shit, I actually need to know what I'm talking about to write about this.
What was her talk like?
I mean, it was pretty base level. It was pretty basic, you know, tips for indies, tips for writers, work well together, play nice, have respect, do your research. A lot of fairly basic stuff, but, you know, it was well...
There's a lot of people who don't do it.
Yeah,
so
there's a lot of people who definitely don't do
Yeah.
it, so...
Get it out there.
Yeah.
No, 80 Days is
And she's
fantastic.
an engaging speaker, too, so that's helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I say 80 Days is fantastic. Did you like it when you played
I
it?
loved it. Absolutely.
Did
I
you
mean,
go all the way around the world, or was it a partial journey?
It was a partial journey. It was kind of as much as I could play. I got assigned to go to the second. During GDC, I'm kind of a pinch hitter because I'm not exactly like Little Ms. Reporter. I'm kind of like the pinch hitter for the team. Like, go to a place because people have 10 other things they need to do.
Right.
So I was assigned that like 2 hours before. And I was just like, okay, shit. And Patricia, you know, my girlfriend, she just had it on her phone. And she's been telling me to play it for a while. So she just sort of handed it over. It was great. I mean, I know we've talked about it a lot, so I won't go on and on. But it's obviously a really awesome story-based game that seems to have a lot to say. And, you know, she did talk a bit about, you know, don't be afraid to be political in your game. And don't be afraid to be, you know, to question ethics and to question, you know, historical periods and so on and so forth.
What was the most memorable thing that happened in your partial playthrough of 80 Days?
Oh God, that right there. There was a malaria
Fogg.
outbreak.
That was Chris Remo
and-
as Phineas Fogg.
Yeah. Oh God, I don't know. I guess it was just sort of exploring Western Russia and just sort of. I had a phase when I was in high school. I don't know if other people have this phase where I was obsessed with interesting things about Russia. I read like A Day in the Life of Ivan Vasovich.
I know at least one person that's true
Yeah.
associated with this podcast.
I just, you know, found that really cool and really interesting. Just the little details,
Yeah.
you know, sort of going to these different places that I had maybe read about when I was 15 and thought they were interesting. So memorable for a weird reason, but still kind of cool.
Yeah. No, I played like 1.5 times through 80 Days because the first time I played it, I was like day 70 and I was still in Hawaii or something. I just,
Oh, nice.
Never mind. Fuck it.
Oh, did you stop?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I just started
You
over.
shouldn't have.
Well, it's too late.
Those I know, but those like when you decide like I'm just gonna get home, that 81st day, the tone of the game just has such a shift, and it's just you and a sad rich dude just kind of getting there. Like it just becomes like an Alexander Payne movie. Just like well, just
driving to
quietly
Nebraska.
sitting on like the deck of a shitty boat, looking at the horizon.
Beer ain't drinking.
Yeah, it's really great. I love that's probably my favorite thing about the game was
Me
from
too, I agree.
80 day to like I got to England the first time like day 94. Those 2 weeks were just like this amazing movie in my head. It's like I wanted the movie of my playthrough to start on day 79 and they're in New Orleans. And they're like, well, we're fucked. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
I played. I started over because I'm never gonna make it. And the second time I played through, I made it. I may be misremembering this, but I made it in like a super short amount of time. I made it in like 39 days or something.
Oh,
I was just
shit.
like, what the fuck? But it was awesome. Like, because I found a lot of accidental shortcuts where I was like, oh fuck, I ended up in Panama. Okay, I'm riding some weird big tractor down to the coast, and it was like really surprising and very, very different from the first time that I played through it. But I played that basically for like the entire day, one day, because I was just like, I can't put this down. It was probably my goatee of the year.
Goaty. I
Yeah.
could certainly see that.
I would agree with that.
It was my goatee for sure.
There's so many goatees.
Man,
in here.
goatee.cx would have been easy.
it's
'cause
settled.
Would have just said 80 days.
And I would have sat there and been like, but alien. And, and that
What
would be
about
that.
the alien,
Oh,
though?
what about alien? Just like that. I'm pretending to be nude. It's fun. By the way, oh my god, there's another alien movie. Anyway, we can talk about that some other day.
We don't need to.
Some other day. Some other lifetime. Let's see, what else? Oh, I played a cool cyberpunk game. I actually played this on my birthday. On the Idlethon.
A very special cyberpunk
It was
birthday.
very special. It's called Black Ice. And it is a...
Oh, yeah.
God,
Have you
Steve's
played
head
this?
whipped
I've played
around.
it.
Your
Okay,
head was
awesome.
It's because I've played the shit.
okay.
It was early access. I played it.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So here's the weird thing. Me, from my own background, the thing that is the closest analog to is the thing in BioShock 2 where you would put a little sister down and she was gathering on a body and then a bunch of enemies would come at you.
Yes.
Because it's like a horde mode thing
Yeah.
where you start hacking, like... So it takes place in, like, classic 80s, like, neon wireframe cyberspace.
So you're like jacked in during Black
You are
Ops.
100% jacked
Yeah.
in. And so you go in and you're basically trying to take over, like, nodes in cyberspace that are kind of laid out like a city. And so it's like, okay...
Is the word really take over? It's got to have... There's probably some specific verb. Oh, God. Really?
Okay, I played this like 4 or 5 months ago. I'm sorry.
But
it was hoping you would just
It's
invent one,
definitely
Steve.
like a hacker term. It's
was.
definitely like...
Dominating a
Yeah, it's
node.
something dominating.
No. But like
I should look this
you
up.
start hacking this node and there's like a timer and then all of these crazy, ICE programs start attacking you, and it's a first person shooter but like very abstract, so you like upgrade your abilities to destroy these programs that are trying to kill you before you can finish hacking the nodes, and then you're just kind of building your way up more and more to like more and more difficult nodes as you upgrade yourselves. It's a lot of fun, and it's really
good.
it's really pretty too because it is the crazy like neon on black aesthetic.
A recall aesthetic.
It is.
Yeah.
It certainly is.
You would say this game is very recall.
I would say it's recall.
Very good.
.tumblr.com. What did you think of it? I should pick it back up because it has been a long time since I've played it, and I wonder if it's like changed a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I've only played it a little bit, and I just sort of was drawn to it because somebody said this is like a cyberpunk game. It's neon, it's 80s, all of these things, all of these recall things.
Yeah.
And
Recall things.
recall things. I quite enjoyed it. I didn't get too far. I was playing without an actual mouse. I was playing on my trackpad, and I was kind of like, oh, well, okay, cool. This is an actual shooter. Because I went into it thinking, oh, I know, okay. It says it has shooter mechanics, but I don't, whatever. For some reason, I thought it would not actually be, an intense shooting experience. I mean, it is,
No. Instead, it's
normal.
but it's like, it is way more kind of like Doom-ish than
Sure.
a lot of current shooters because it is all about like big groups of these enemies kind of bearing down on you.
And you're in a
have to
very
manage
small,
them.
you're in a very small contained space as well.
Right.
So it's, yeah.
Yeah, when you start hacking a node, it basically puts like a radius around you that you're stuck inside with all the enemies as they're coming at you, and you can like throw down traps or just do direct damage to them. You can, and it has like some kind of BioShock-y powers, like you can send one faction of enemies against the other and they start fighting each other, so you can like clear out other enemies while they are in this fracas. It's fun. I liked it a lot. Black Ice.
Black Ice, a cool game.
It's on Steam and stuff.
Yeah. I think it's still early access, maybe.
Okay.
But it's quite complete. It never crashed on me. None of these things happened, so that was all cool. You looked like you had a question.
I was going to ask Steve a question about BioShock 2.
I think you should.
Oh.
Did
I
you?
thought you were going to ask if you die in Black Ice, do you die in real life?
I know the answer to that. Obviously, yes.
Correct.
Did you work on any of like the particulars of that sort of horde mode stuff in Bio 2, or were you all level design and scenario design?
I mean, I placed those things, but I wasn't working.
It feels like tuning those and getting those right would be really hard without them seeming like feeling the same. Like you get one that feels good at a certain scripting level.
There was some
continuing
of
to
that.
make those would be tough.
Well, because the thing about
I remember them all being really good in that game. Actually,
Oh, absolutely.
I hadn't thought about that particular aspect of the game because it's not usually what I notice in a game. And then listening to you guys talk about Black Ice and you had mentioned Bio 2 at the beginning, I was like, oh wait, like I actually really enjoyed all of those, and they happened quite frequently.
Well, one thing is they were all like player opt-in, so they could happen a lot if you wanted them to. So it was like, if I like these things, I can do them, which is cool, as opposed to you have to be successful. But as a level designer on a BioShock game, you get, well, I don't know. yeah, at least on like BioShock 1 and 2, there was like a subset of all the enemy types in each level. So it was like each level can only have like 2 or 3 enemy types. Like there can be the guys that teleport and the pistol guys and the ceiling crawlers. But if you have those 3 guys, you can't also have like the guys that just run at you with a wrench or the grenadiers or whatever. So like each level kind of has a certain subset of enemies that you might encounter in it, which
is that
then,
a balancing thing or is that a technical
I
constraint?
think that honestly it was like a memory limit.
I was going to say a memory thing, yeah.
Because of like animation overhead. But it meant that as a designer on a level in BioShock 2, which gather sequence like balancing you could have was based on which enemies were in your level. So it was kind of interesting when you're like, well, I have a level with like the big brawny brute enemies, so my gather sequence like horde mode encounters are going to have those guys in it, and that's totally different from some other levels, which was cool. It was interesting to have to think about your level in terms of where would be good to put one of these bodies down, because it kind of works well as an arena plus all of the other stuff that a BioShock level has to do. So yeah, it was interesting. It was cool.
Those encounters were very memorable. I only played that game once, and it was right when it came out. I actually reviewed it. So, 5 years later or whatever it's been, I remember like the place I was in when I did all those gather sequences. Like I remember exactly sort of what the bodies looked like slumped over. I remember what types of weapons I used, things like that. So oddly, that is something that's always stuck in my head.
I think it's the night. I think one of the reasons that the design team wanted to do something like that was because there's so many tools, like weapons and powers and stuff in BioShock that are really good for setting up traps and like kind of controlling the environment. And there aren't, depending on your play style, a lot of reasons to actually take advantage of them. Like most of the time it's just like shoot fireballs and shotgun shells at guys and just waste on them. But when you're like, okay, I have to set up a perimeter because I start this thing and guys are just going to start pouring in. It's like, well, I should put traps here and I should put trap bolts there. And, I should actually like hack all these machines before I start the gather so they can help. And I think that you had to really be conscious of the environment and the like level geometry in a way you didn't normally have to be.
Yeah.
So that's probably, I assume, or I don't know, my guess would be that's kind of why it stuck with you,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really good choice.
I mean, I'm not a very skilled FPS player. So something like that was great for me, where I could actually plan something out and take my time and think about it and do that kind of thing, as opposed to like actually having great, just dexterity.
And we put in achievements for like don't fire a shot during a gather sequence, because it's all like your traps and the hacked things that, because it allowed you to do stuff like that. So it was fun.
Cool stuff.
Cool games.
Nice.
I have a third
Thanks,
cool
Jake.
game.
What is it?
Do you want to hear about the Cool Game the Third?
Why not?
Okay.
God, I want you to like adopt a puppy and name it that, by the way. This is Cool Game the Third.
Here's Cool Game the Third.
Junior.
And then I'll do toad noises at it.
Yeah.
It's not Dishonored, but it's Disorder.
What's Disorder like?
Is that the silence? Is that the full name of the game?
Intro of it.
That just died.
Today, it's not Dishonored.
It died.
It's Dishonored.
Okay, Disorder is an interesting game. It is a puzzle platformer. Yes, I know. But it is...
Ooh, do you play some sort of animal type creature?
You actually don't in this one. You
right.
play as a depressed human. A very sad person. A person who has... well, I guess this is where I put a little content warning. This is a game about suicidal thoughts and depression and anxiety and basically mental strife.
A puzzle platformer?
Yes. And what you do is, very simply walk and jump, and you swap the world between sort of a dark world and a light world. It's a little cheesy. It's a little bit of, okay, schizoid. There's darkness and there's light. It's a little heavy-handed in terms of the way the gameplay.
Its visual metaphor?
Exactly. But it's actually a really satisfying and fun platformer. And very difficult. Much more so than I thought it would be. Because, the controls aren't exactly super tight, but they don't really need to be, because it's much more about sort of swapping between the worlds really quickly and really, doing that well. It's a game I'm really genuinely enjoying on sort of the gameplay level, but I'm having kind of a hard time wrapping my head around the idea that this team wanted to explore something like mental illness. And when I first started playing it, I was like, oh, this is awesome. This feels like a game that 1 to 3 people made, and somebody was suffering from an actual mental illness and wanted to make like a personal game, like something that showed something they had been through. And there were all these little touches in the game that have to do with like a brother who maybe something bad happened to the brother. You know, there's a relationship there. And I really thought when I was sort of first playing, like, oh, clearly personal game. I usually really dig that sort of thing. I really like games that kind of come from a place like that. But I was actually playing this on the stream, and people were saying, like, you know, they were reading devlogs from the people who made it, who were like, we did our research about mental illness and all this stuff. And I was kind of like, oh, this feels a little more like appropriation than an actual personal experience. So I'm of two minds. Oh, God. Yep. Sorry. I honestly,
nice having
did
you
not even mean
past
that
50
one.
epithers of Out of Thumbs.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Chris, what were you saying?
I was saying, so what you're saying is you wish the developer were super depressed.
Clearly, that's what I want for people.
This is actually
going to be now. You're not even really depressed. Oh,
yeah. God, so inauthentic.
This is I feel like a sort of minor trend that I've noticed just kind of just by keeping up with the new games that come out on Steam. And I haven't played a ton of these games, but I feel like starting with what was that Mike Bithel's game?
Thomas Was Alone?
Yeah, Thomas is Alone.
Nailed it.
There's this sort of current small trend of games that are visually like entirely set in a relatively like traditional gameplay genre and visually just look like that as well. But then use like voiceover or some other thing to introduce like really either weighty or very mundane topics on top without like a huge amount of synergy necessarily between them, which isn't necessarily bad, but it's just a thing I've noticed. Because there's this game David that came out as well that's like basically abstract visually, but the description is you play David, an awfully small abstracted chosen hero tossed into a blissfully simple world overrun by giant culmination of evil physics beast. And then the summary says, this game is designed to be difficult. I poured myself into developing this game for nights and nights and nights. It is almost tough to share. I hope it feels strangely personal. It is a game about struggles in life, a game about David. Which is like fair enough, but I just don't know what to make of this trend, because then there's also this game called A Story About My Uncle, which is this like crazy like Bionic Commando style grappling hook thing where you're swinging through the air, but it's also about a boy searching for his lost uncle, and like presumably also like trying to really claw at a lot of kind of deeper, more profound themes. And I just I was trying to remember these two, and I just found them on Steam just now. But I'm certain I know that I've seen like a number of additional games that kind of fall into this general category that I'm trying to describe.
Yeah,
I don't really know how I feel about it entirely.
I've seen the trailer. Like, I saw some stuff about A Story My Uncle Told, or A Story About My Uncle. Which one was it?
A Story About My Uncle.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, A Story About My Uncle. That sounds evocative, and I clicked through it. I was like, oh. Apparently, my uncle had a sweet cyber glove. What the uncle about him was about
badass.
He was the hand all along.
Yeah,
you know, I thought.
it's a little weird.
Did you play Papa and Yo, Chris? Chris, did you play Papa and Yo?
No, I know what you're talking about, but I haven't.
Like, I thought that game is sort of it's in the same vein in terms of like, oh, it's a puzzle platformer, but it has like surrealist art and, you know, et cetera, but is about, you know, abuse and having like a alcoholic abusive father, basically. The monster is a metaphor for, I guess, I don't know if, I think it's Vander Caballero's story, supposedly.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Yeah, I think it is, but
yeah.
I think it is a personal story. I thought that game was successful though in that because the art wasn't minimal. The art was like, I mean, if you've seen Papa and Yo, like you can tell that it's like, looks like a modern 3D like platformer with a like fully animated like rigged character in like a very art directed world. So because the game doesn't have a minimalist aesthetic, there's just way more choices to have to make, like scene to scene, that force you to to like double down on all your metaphors.
When you say you, are you talking about the developer?
It forced the developer to double down on the metaphors, yeah. So I thought the game was actually successful in that, but it is in that sort of like groundswell of personal stories inside of a like traditional game design. I don't mean traditional in a bad way or anything.
But like
Right.
they're generally
Video game.
These are almost always
Yeah.
platformers.
Yeah, it's a puzzle platformer. It's a great one though. I mean, yeah, we've talked about it on the podcast.
I think that one definitely straddles the line a little more, at least based on what I know about it.
Yeah.
Because that one seems almost more like an allegory or something.
Yeah. And like I don't know, I think like I don't want to like ever level at like games are trying like certain games are trying to like I don't know, co-opt a theme for like for the intent like purpose of legitimacy or something like that. But I don't know. I think when a game like this kind of like falls on its face or it doesn't quite succeed, it kind of just feels, and I'm not saying this is David or
Sure.
this game or whatever, but when you do that, it kind of has that vibe of like air quote serious fiction you try to write in college.
Yeah.
you know, that like anybody who ever like was creative in college is guilty of. Yeah, I don't know. It's like I'd much rather like I'm glad that stuff is in the past of my life and not on
here's
Steam.
actually a fairly
Yeah.
clear dividing line that I could make between the way that Papogno and the way a lot of these other games are actually presented. And this is a sort of an objective division and doesn't necessarily speak to the quality of the game or the success of these specific artistic goals. But I will say it influences my assumptions about them a lot, which is that if you go to the Steam page for Papogno and you read the description is just about the like representative story that is, I assume, literally told in the game.
Right. It's like a boy fighting
the
against a
about
monster.
the game thing doesn't also include like an editorial note that tells you what you're supposed to draw from the game. And I feel like there's at least some amount of correlation between like having to spell out before the players even started playing the game what the themes are supposed to be, and maybe a level of lack of subtlety in how the game itself will present them.
I think that's really
Yeah.
apt. Yeah. That's very apt.
That's very
Observation.
wise. I'm going to give Disorder the the benefit of the doubt until I finish it, and I think it's actually a pretty short
Oh, sure,
game.
absolutely. Again, like I don't mean to actually like pass any
Oh yeah.
kind of overall judgment on any of these games individually. I'm only speaking to why I've like once I start to notice a trend of like 3 or 4 things that all feel like they're sort of cut from the same cloth, it just makes it harder for me to get over to push into the territory of being like, oh man, I'm really excited to play this, because I start to worry that they will all kind of approximate each other. Which is not to say that that is actually what happens in the game, but mentally that's a thing that I end up running into.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm more concerned in terms of this game. It's something I've been worried about, just more and more as I've been educating myself on these issues of just sort of
Remind me the name of the game again,
appropriation. Oh, Disorder is the name of it?
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no, and it's more riding the line respectfully between doing your research about something and, sort of presenting something with clarity and respect and so on and so forth, and making something look like this is my personal story and it's sexy because of that. And that's what I'm selling here almost on some level. And I guess that's just sort of what I need to do my own homework about and read more about Disorder and actually finish the game.
Yep.
I'll report back.
I'm looking at the trailer for this game right now, and like all of the quotes about it, the first quote says Disorder is sad, depressing, and fantastic. And the next quote says it's about coping with sadness, and so on and so on. And these are different than the developer in the kind of synopsis saying that from their own mouth. But it's also not entirely different because they're choosing those they're choosing those specific points to highlight in their official marketing. And I just kind of, I guess, feel, okay, this one says, one of the best arguments I've seen for games as an art form, which, like, man, that's, I don't know. I guess I feel like if your game is about something, I would rather, as a player, find that out in the playing of the game and not have it seeded in my mind ahead of time. It's one thing if a friend tells you, because you can't really control that. Like, right, if just a friend says, oh man, I played this crazy game about this, or if you hear about it on Idle Thumbs because we say so.
Because we say it's art.
I think this is what it's about. That's one thing, but that just
We're your
feels
friends.
totally
Yeah,
different
we're your
to me
internet friends.
than the like controlling voice of the game, putting that forth as official materials.
You'll
that
know,
are
Chris,
stamped
that we've fallen off the cliff for this when games start doing like the Ethan Carter or Telltale disclaimer, but it's just like, attention, this game is art. This game is important.
Yes.
Beware, and then like you start
Beware.
the game. I don't know. Do you
Beware
guys
art ahead.
Do you guys? Yes. Watch for art.
I saw King's Quest today. The new
Oh,
King's
really?
Quest.
Yeah.
And it's actually looking quite good.
Really?
Yeah, it's
That's Odd Gentleman.
yes, it is actually.
Huh.
They were demoing, it was a developer driven demo. I didn't have my hands on it or anything,
Sure.
but he was playing it, showing it off. The animation looks really good, actually.
How much actual control do you have over the game from your perception of that? Because for the previews that they put out, it looked kind of like it was halfway between like the Dreamfall Longest Journey sequel demo and like Dragon's Lair. Like that's
Yeah.
what it
Yeah,
felt
that,
like.
that
from
was
the-
my
from the
concern, that it
videos.
looked really QTE-y.
It doesn't appear that way when
Okay.
it's being played in front of me, but
Okay.
obviously this is a 20-minute developer demo being driven by a dev who knows exactly what to do. So it always comes with a grain of salt, but it appeared to be,
Well, what was the
pretty
stuff that
normal
actually
3D
happened
game
on
going
screen?
on.
Because from like that trailer, I was like, are they making King's Quest into a platformer? Is that what's happening right now?
No. I mean, there was a sequence with, an actual dragon and, sort of a little,
It doesn't have to be a dragon.
well, there was, and it was actually kind of cute.
Okay.
You had to keep,
But
the
I'd be
solution
impressed
was-
if there's an actual king.
I think there is.
Okay,
I think it's
good.
actually framed as if there's a king telling a story to like a granddaughter or something.
All right.
So there's a king here,
Fears allayed.
and he's talking about a quest. So it's a very literal game.
Is the quest his quest?
I'm not sure.
Hmm.
I'm not sure because I was looking at other
Well,
games as well.
don't that, Sean. That's to be revealed. That's
Was
part of
this
the
a
surprise of
personal
playing
game
the
or not? Is he appropriating a quest from someone else? I'm angry.
Was it a
Yeah,
apostrophe
who,
S or
who
no?
from Odd Gentleman has really actually been in
is a
any
king?
notable monarchy?
Until Matt Corbis shows me monarchy papers, fuck King's Quest.
Chris Ramos should be making this. He's at least a lord.
Oh, it's true.
Lord's Quest.
Lord's Quest.
Lord's quest.
Oh man.
Yes.
Well, so what do you do in the game? This is what I'm at. Like, what are the actions?
It's
What are the
It's an
actions?
adventure game. You're walking around the world.
Do they have an
it's
inventory?
3D. There's an inventory.
Okay.
It's pretty simple. I mean, in the sequences we saw, there were only kind of like 3 items in your inventory. So
Okay.
it wasn't like crazy inventory wrangling, putting 6 things on top of each other.
I just feel like
Yet, anyway.
the video I saw was just like jumping over stuff, and action
They were probably like,
things
oh, this is an
happening.
action-oriented thing. Let's show some jumping
Yeah.
in this
Yeah,
trailer.
yeah. but from what was actually played, it was more of like an adventure game.
Yeah,
adventure game?
absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it kind of had the same kind of goofy logic. You need to... One of the puzzles had to do... I'll try to remember this correctly.
You'll try to spoil King's Quest.
I'll try to spoil the entire thing for you right here. You had to distract some guards that were keeping you from getting into a knight's contest.
Sounds right.
And so you had to...
Classic.
the guards themselves are, alerted to anytime there's strife or problems or, something. They have to go help the citizens. So you have to pretend to drown. And then they are trying to... This was the solution.
Sure,
You
no,
jump
it's
in the
fine.
water. There's a river. You have to jump in the water, pretend to drown. Get their attention.
But you're the
but
one
you're the one
that
who's
wants
drowning.
to.
How do you then get around them?
Yeah.
So you don't actually drown. You let them pretend to save you. And
No,
they're
but
trying
they-
to get credit amongst them. There's a group. There's a little rabble of guards.
Uh-huh.
And then you need to topple a tree that has a beehive on it to further keep
Okay,
them away.
Here we go.
Now we're talking. Yeah.
Yes, I'm trying to
Man,
explain
I thought this was the
simplest
adventure game
terms.
solution to how to make out with a hot knight.
That would be cool.
Pretend to drown.
Pretend to drown. I need
His stubble grazes across
cursor
your chin
becomes
as he gives you CPR.
He took
It's
off
like,
his
where did you
helm.
learn this, knight? French class.
Jesus.
Then you throw a beehive on his fucking face.
You're like, fucking owned! I got you! You run in.
I think that's how Louise from Bob's Burgers would consider a very romantic
I would love that.
moment. Anyway.
Queen's Quest.
Queen's Quest.
So you're trying to figure out how to get guards out of the way so that you can go through a gate, and the
And
solution
enter
You get them to
and
make out with
and
you,
the
then you
sol-
put bees on them.
and the
Yes.
solution is
Yes.
CPR.
pretend that you are drowning so they'll come near the bees so
Yes.
you can put the bees on them.
Exactly.
Does that not also mean you are near the bees?
Well, you're on the other side of the tree. You topple
Bees
the tree
don't
onto them.
like water.
Right. No, that makes sense.
And then the nest falls on that
you-
side of the tree.
You summon
Yeah.
the bees, then you drown yourself again to hide from the bees.
Well, it worked for... No, it didn't.
First, you
It
test
didn't
to make
work
sure
for
the guards
Macaulay
have a
Culkin.
bee
I'm
allergy.
sorry. Yes, exactly.
You wait till the guards with the bee allergy in rotation on guard duty, then you pretend to drown, then you put the bees in the guards, then you get in the water again. Then the guards all die from bee stings.
Yeah.
Then you steal
And the
their guard
credits from My Girl.
costumes.
Oh, now you're a guard.
Now you're a guard and a king.
And
you
you
have
get
to
in the
stand
guard's
next to the
armor,
gate for
and
the
then you have
rest
to
of the
distract another set of guards, and you jump in the water, but you're wearing the armor, so you sink to the
So you
bottom.
die.
And you die.
But you can hold your breath for 10 minutes.
Wrong franchise.
Oh, sorry. I meant to say.
Oh.
How about that reader mail?
Christopher,
Oh, sorry, that's me.
how are you feeling, by the way? Are you feeling any better?
I'm pretty congested. And,
Yeah, we can tell.
You know, coffee. Yeah, I apologize for that.
What?
You've been watching the Pam Grier movie Coffee?
Fuck off.
Oh my
Wow, that
God.
was
you?
a deep pull.
Whatever.
That and French
bad
class.
pull.
Yeah.
Right, coming right after French
Well, he
class.
said, I'm Coffee. And I was like, well, he's not Pam Grier. Maybe he's just been watching the movie. That was how my brain works.
Where's that reader mail?
I'm cough ridden.
Okay.
Oh.
So,
I think I was kicked off the podcast.
oh, that's good.
Enjoyed episode 2.
That's good.
Okay, so Corwin writes, I'm gonna skip the first half of this email because it links to a YouTube video that I can't show you guys, obviously.
Can you
but
tell
not
us the
there.
hash?
So, the second half is just a very short bit of robot news, and he writes, have you come across the Japanese company Cyberdyne? They have an exoskeleton for assisting the disabled and elderly with walking.
Oh, I've seen
and
this.
His name is Hal.
Oh, come on.
No.
That's a real. It's a real thing.
They're just they're
Might as well
doubling-
call it Help.
Wow, Sean.
I thought you weren't on.
I thought you were like
Happened to
more.
us. I thought you were gonna love that.
Yeah, I didn't think you were on the podcast anymore.
You're excommunicated.
Help?
It helps you because it's an exoskeleton for injured people.
Yeah.
Chris, we have not seen this or heard about it.
I have.
Come back soon, Chris.
I'm just gonna go to a different email now.
Okay.
Brian writes,
I feel like all my friends have turned on me.
It's like that bad episode of The Next Generation where everybody just hates the one guy for some reason.
Looks like there's going to be a whole lot more done it today.
You're saying Sean is the Barkley of this podcast? Yeah. It's true. You don't get that reference.
No, I don't. I'm Charles Barkley from that.
From Seinfeld.
That man rode that role like a surfboard, too. He showed up in Voyager. He showed up in DS9. My God.
Barkley was good though.
Barkley was good. It's just, it was one of those.
He was. They were like, we need someone with
And I what's bad for
social
podcasts.
anxiety.
Yes,
I know, I knew that.
Yeah. Sean is fired for saying help, and then we talk about Barkley from Star Trek for 10 minutes.
And everything's fine.
Everything's
I
great.
also don't know what you're talking about.
We're talking about
there
the next
another
piece
mail?
of reader mail.
Yeah, next
All right, so
generation of a letter.
Brian writes, I can never tell if you guys are still talking or not, so I'm going to assume that you're not.
We're not.
You have the floor,
Brian
Chris.
writes, hello, Thumbs. I wanted to thank you for bringing up Link's Awakening, which is my favorite Zelda game. It was also my first, same as the person you quoted. I was 12 when it came out, and I had just gotten a Game Boy recently. To me, this is what Zelda was, and it was not weird to me, just interesting. My family used to have a side job for extra money, which was upkeep on a bank building after hours, mopping, garbage, vacuuming, etc.
Robbing.
I helped out. It was a large place, and I would occasionally hide out and play. At some point, I started calling the Nintendo Hotline for help with this crazy game. Oh man, I just realized I'm reading a different email than I thought I was. Okay, anyway. Which I believe was not a charge-by-minute line, but it was long distance to Redmond from Illinois, which is why I didn't call from home. After a while, the bank contacted my parents about some very large charges after hours that could only have been made from us. Needless to say, that stopped my hotline habit.
Oh, that's
So great
amazing.
memories, Brian.
That's an incredible
That's really
story.
good.
I really love that.
Yep.
He was robbing the bank.
It was.
Here's the one I thought I was reading, although I'm glad I read that one as well. Finn Downs writes, Link's Awakening. Hi, Thumbs. I was listening to your discussion of Link's Awakening in episode 198 and Chris's dad's response to first seeing the game. Link's Awakening was not only my first Zelda game, but my first video game experience ever. The Game Boy was a present for my brother, so this was before I had even seen games being played at a friend's house or at school. Because of the rudimentary graphics of the Game Boy, and because of the weird semi-overhead perspective of the 2D Zelda games, my 5-year-old brain couldn't figure out how to interpret the information on the screen. For a while, I assumed the world of Link's Awakening was being seen from a side perspective like a Mario game. Wow. The game starts you inside Marin's house, with Link waking up after being rescued from a shipwreck. From my perspective, I thought that the floorboards of the house were a giant ladder that Link was climbing on like a spider.
Whoa.
Oh, that's so
I didn't have any concept of moving to another screen, so the only things I could figure out how to do were talk to the two characters, a weird wriggling blob who somehow mistakes for, quote, Zelda when he wakes up, despite Link never saying a word, and a guy with a mustache who gives you your shield. After restarting the game for a while, I discovered that the, quote, angry statues, aka pots, in the bottom left of the screen mentioned that they were too heavy to lift. I became convinced that the game was some sort of surreal, complicated puzzle, and the objective was to get these statues into the hole, the doorway, at the bottom of the screen. Eventually, my brother showed me that all I needed to do was walk out of the door, and the game made a lot more sense. Knowing that the game was inspired by Twin Peaks explains why my first gaming experience felt so surreal. If you guys ever had similar experiences, I'd love to hear about it. Cheers, Finn from Sydney.
That's really good.
I feel like the Twin Peaks explanation is not why this was weird.
Yeah,
No.
Correct.
I mean, I remember going from Zelda 1 to Zelda 2 and feeling weirdly betrayed by it being side-scrolling. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's not what Link does. It just was really...
This guy describing, though, his experience playing this game and not having any sense of what the actual representational art was supposed to be representing, like, it's trying to click something in my brain from being really young and not understanding what I was looking at when watching pieces of popular entertainment. And now I can't come up with the example, but I know that my brain did that as well. I know that
I had a lot of examples of learning what a computer was. You know what I mean? Of like, oh, I think this is the internet, but I don't know yet, sort of thing.
I just mean like looking at like what appears to be like two parallel lines in a circle and something else, and then your brain finally going, oh, that's a perspective image of a sphere on a floor casting a shadow, you know, or things like that, where you're just like, I don't know what I'm even looking at, and it's so crazy to me that starts with Zelda.
The only thing I have is just like that sort of child overhearing things the wrong way. Like I remember as a child, I think I was told this in the podcast, like we moved to the United States from Ireland when I was little, and then watching like, I don't know, probably when I was like 5 or 6, seeing like a PSA for like a kid's PSA that's like, it's not cool to drink, you know? So I just like stopped drinking liquids. You know, like that's literally like the only thing I can think of is like there's
what could this even mean?
I don't want to fall through that hole in the bottom of the floor.
Yeah,
you know, like that is a doorway. It's like water is needed for life. Like yeah, that's the only thing I can really think of is that like complete like lack of perspective. That's a really good story though.
That is an awesome story. I have a embarrassingly later in life. I mean, not embarrassed. I was probably 11.
It was just the other day someone tweeted a picture of a dress at you.
Yes, and I wasn't sure what I was seeing. The first time I played Mario RPG, I thought it was just a Mario game. Like not when I first booted it up or anything, but like I rented it from the local Blockbuster. And I was like, oh, cool, there's another Mario game. And I thought like, oh, I'm going to play a platformer. And it was an RPG, and I'd never played an RPG before. And I was like, I don't know why Mario's not jumping on things and doing things like this. And it was a cool experience because I, learned about a new kind of game and that I would later be interested in. But I definitely was very confused by what Mario was doing in that game.
Thanks, reader.
Thank you.
If you have any odd perspectives on anything you've ever played, please write us at questions@idlethumbs.net. And Chris will read them via Skype on the podcast. We'll send him into the other room.
Whether he's there or not.
Yeah.
Have you got any more? Have you got a final reader mail, Chris?
I do not.
Okay. Then we're done, I guess.
Super!
What a super show.
200.
Here's
in the
to
book. This was a
200
super
more.
show. Would you say this is a super show, Nick?
I don't think it qualifies.
Oh, no!
Would you say this was a superb show?
Sure.
Okay.
Trademarked.
Yeah. You can have that one.
Idle Thumbs superb show.
Yes, if the title is Idle Thumbs Superb Show,
Sean has something to say.
pleased.
No, I just think we're going to own superbshow.com by the time this podcast is over, and we'll register it at hover.com. If you have a URL that you need to register, go to hover.com, a fantastic domain registrar. You can go there and use the promo code CRUST for 10% off your purchases. Thanks for sponsoring the podcast this week, Hover. That's a post roll.
Thanks for sponsoring this superb show.
Yes.
Thanks, Hover.
Thanks, Chris.
And thanks to the readers for getting us to 200 episodes of this bonkers madness.
Yeah,
It's
good
really,
golly.
really ridiculous. I've only been here for 75% of them, and it is one of
That's crazy that you've been here for 75% of them.
Is it?
and it's one of the best things in my life. I'm really happy that I get to do it every week. So
How many years
thank
ago?
you.
This started in 2008.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
The website itself started in 2005. Four. So we're in our 11th year of the website. We're in our disgusting other number year of the podcast, but secretly it's only been a few years because we kept taking years off.
But no, thanks from like just paying attention at the beginning when Chris and Nick and Jake were doing it, to backing the Kickstarter, to continuing to listen now. It means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
You want to fart on that, Jake?
Oh.
No.
I mean, okay, so just to clarify,
Sorry, you gave me the one Jake eyebrow. I was
Jake
like, I'm good.
wanted to fart on
I
that,
got
but
Bye, Chris.
Bye, Chris.
Thanks for letting me be on the podcast. Safe travels.
Thank you
Tell
for
Sarah we
being
say
a
hi.
friend.
All right, see you guys.
See you
Bye.
soon.
Didn't talk about Mr. Bellding.
God, we didn't talk about Mr. Bellding.
I almost dropped it in the middle of this.
well, why didn't you,
Nick.
Nick?
Nick, let's hear about Mr.
Sorry,
Bellding.
that is what the biggest revelation I have had in months. Or that I have been a part of or heard party to.
It's huge.
It's very special.
How, if you're the creator of Saved by the Bell, how do you just hold the Mr. Bellding pun back?
I think you think that Mr. Bellding is self-evident and then are really disappointed in humanity when no one notices that your show is called Saved by the Bell.
Ding.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's solid work.
Solid pun
It's
work.
the longest con of all time, maybe.
Well, like, to what? sorry. To what end, Nick?
I don't know.
That has yet to be revealed.
I think so.
Right.
Yeah, he didn't say the con's over.
No.
That's true.
The best episode of Idle Thumbs that has ever been recorded.
Yes.
The most
Yes.
easy to
Yes.
follow.
I think it's going to be great.
I think it's gonna
Are
be
you
really
making
good.
Yoshi noises?
No, he was never did Breckon noises. He was brecking it out.
That's Nick. That's Nick.
You guys are like do the thing before the.
But yeah, everyone
Like, that's more like.
That's what we do.
You ready, Nick, for our routine?
Okay.
Yeah.
Because of the way Skype like constantly tries to dynamically adjust the volume to like match the levels, it sounds like you guys are just like constantly stomping on each other. Like when you're all talking at the same time, Skype somehow like picks the person to amplify
it's
above all else.
It's because this is what an
It's just, like,
actual
crazy
podcast sounds
shuffling.
like.
You're now getting the listener's experience of Idle Thumbs, it turns out, unfortunately. God, Skype was so hard. That was terrible. I mean, that was the worst Skype setup that's ever existed. Cleveland
Yeah.
Streamer
You're right.
and the Source number 2
Source
is definitely a band.